Some stories arrive quietly. They don't demand attention. They linger, soft as snowfall, steady as footsteps. They speak not through drama, but through devotion. This one begins with a train, a man, a dog, and a promise that outlived them both. Hachiko was born in November 1923 in the snowy town of Odate, Akita Prefecture. He was one of 8 purebred Akita puppies, strong, quiet, and loyal by nature. Professor Hidesaburo Ueno, a scholar at Tokyo Imperial University, had long admired the Akita breed. When a former student learned this, he arranged for a puppy to be sent to the professor. Hachiko arrived in Tokyo in early 1924, carried in a burlap sack on a long train ride from the north. The journey from Odate to Tokyo took nearly a full day, winding through mountain passes and bustling towns. Hachiko, barely 3 months old, was quiet the entire way. Ueno lived with his domestic partner, Yaeko Sakano. They never married, but they shared a quiet life together. Hachiko joined that rhythm, sleeping under Ueno's bed, walking with him to Shibuya Station each morning and waiting for him each afternoon. Neighbors recalled seeing the pair, man and dog, walking in perfect sync, Ueno with his briefcase, Hachiko with his steady trot. It became a familiar sight in the neighborhood. On May 21st, 1925, Professor Ueno collapsed while lecturing. He died of a cerebral hemorrhage. He never came home. That afternoon, Hachiko waited at the station. And the next day, and the next. Yaeko tried to care for him. She fed him, sat beside him, whispered the same gentle words Ueno once did. But grief is heavy, and Hachiko belonged to a rhythm she could no longer bear. He was passed between families, some far from Shibuya. But each time he escaped. Each time, he walked miles back to the station, arriving precisely when Ueno's train used to return. One family in Asakusa reported that Hachiko slipped out through a side gate and was found days later curled beside the station entrance. He had walked over 10 kilometers. His sense of time was uncanny. Station workers noted that he arrived within minutes of the train Ueno once took, always at the same platform, always facing the same direction. Eventually, Hachiko found a home with Kikisaburo Kobayashi, Ueno's former gardener. Kobayashi lived near Shibuya and understood. He didn't try to stop the visits. He simply offered food, shelter, and quiet companionship. Hachiko slept at Kobayashi's home, but his heart remained at the station. For 9 years, he returned. Every morning, every afternoon, through rain, snow, and the changing tides of Tokyo itself. He endured typhoons, bitter winters, and the growing bustle of a city transforming around him. Yet his routine never changed. The station workers built him a shelter. Commuters brought him treats. Children sat beside him, hoping to glimpse the dog who waited. Some brought rice balls. Others left notes. One child reportedly whispered, "I hope he sees his friend again." Photographs from the 1930s show Hachiko sitting quietly beside the station entrance, his fur slightly matted, his eyes still searching. In 1932, a newspaper article written by one of Ueno's former students told Hachiko's story. The nation was moved. He became a symbol, not just of loyalty, but of something deeper, a reminder of love that endures beyond understanding. The article appeared in the Tokyo Asahi Shimbun and was accompanied by a grainy photo of Hachiko sitting near the station gates. Within weeks, school children were writing essays about him. He entered textbooks. He was taught in classrooms. He became part of Japan's moral education. In 1934, a bronze statue was unveiled at Shibuya Station. Hachiko was there for the ceremony, still waiting. The sculptor, Teru Ando, studied Hachiko's posture for weeks, wanting to capture not just his form, but his spirit. At the unveiling, Hachiko stood beside the statue, tail curled, eyes forward. On March 8, 1935, Hachiko was found lifeless near the station. He was 12 years old. He'd died in the same place he had waited for nearly a decade. Still watching, still hoping. He was mourned not as a pet, but as a companion. A soul who had kept watch longer than anyone asked him to. His funeral drew hundreds. His body was carried in a procession through Shibuya, draped in white cloth. Children lined the streets. Station workers bowed as he passed. He was cremated and buried beside Professor Ueno in Aoyama Cemetery. Their names now share a headstone. His body was preserved and placed in the National Science Museum. His statue still stands at Shibuya Station. But in 2015, something changed. At the University of Tokyo, a new statue was unveiled. It shows Hachiko leaping into Ueno's arms. Tail raised, eyes bright, a reunion that never came in life, but lives forever in bronze. The real story of Hachiko isn't about a dog. It's about devotion. About the kind of love that doesn't ask questions. It simply waits. It took 90 years, but they were finally reunited. Not in life, but in love. We live in a world of movement, of trains that never stop, of lives that rush forward. But Hachiko reminds us that love doesn't always move. Sometimes it waits, and in the waiting, it endures.